So there's this like whole idea that life and success is inherently miserable and that hard things should be miserable and that life as a whole should be miserable. And I have a problem with that. People love to say like, welcome to adulthood when something bad happens, especially these boomers. They talk about work like it's supposed to be some concentration camp, essentially. And, you know, taking it to the extreme, you tell them that your boss assaulted you and they say, well, you are at work, aren't you? You know, they have this weird idea. And I think the newer generations are starting to overcome that. But these boomers talk about life as if it should inherently be a miserable slog. They talk about success as if it has to be miserable, achieving your goals. Why? Why does success have to be something that makes you miserable or is miserable? The process of it is miserable. And I do concede that success might have to be something hard, okay? I think it should be something hard, but not necessarily miserable. Why is that something you just have to accept, that life and success is miserable? And why have we come to accept it? But maybe the case is that the things you do every day don't have to be miserable. Maybe you don't have to wake up and dread going to work. Maybe you don't have to be afraid of coming out of your room because of the people you live with. And once you start to accept that these things aren't actually inherent truths and are instead something you've just come to accept without questioning, limiting beliefs, the sooner you can start making positive changes. And I say this from personal experience. You know, I realized I genuinely disliked my work, so I quit. Simple as. I realized that I disliked the people I was living with, so I left that weekend. As soon as it hit me, I was like, okay, bye. And I realized that most of the days I was a 4 out of 10 in terms of how happy I was. So I took steps to change it. You know, I've gone so far as to move countries to see if that makes an impact on my happiness. And these are all things that people can eventually do. I accept that maybe you can't do that right this second and you need to put things in place. It's not always necessarily immediately possible. But with enough planning, it's definitely something that's achievable. And my goal is just to break down some of your limiting beliefs, right? So that next time someone says to you, well, that's just the way it is, or there's nothing you can do about it, hopefully you can show them that most of the time there is something that you can do, and life doesn't have to be misery that you just accept. It doesn't mean it won't be painful for you to do or for you to change, but it's definitely achievable.